hadn't been here since they did this, so I think it's time for the building post office stuff, but they had occasion.
I realized I was told.
This is only the second time I've been here. We'll bring you my cousin.
All right, I've got 6 blocks.
Yeah.
Say a quick prayer. Mr. Eric Holmes, if you wouldn't mind, lead us in our invocation, please.
Will you pray with me? Heavenly Father, we thank you for who you are in our lives. Lord, we ask your blessing on the leadership here tonight and those who are community leaders all around who are participating as well. God, we ask your guidance on those things that are discussed, and we ask you, Holy Spirit, to abide in us all as we share what's on our minds and as we present the issues that are before us. We pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, I want to take this opportunity real quick just to welcome everyone out. I wish we could type the house like this every night. I don't know why. But anyways, we'll go ahead and get started. Can I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Sarah Clemens? Here. Mr. Jim Hendy?
Here.
Mr. Kenny Edmondson? Ms. Brooke Hewitt? Here. Mr. Clay Cropper? Here. Mr. Ron Madden?
Here.
That constitutes a quorum. So go ahead. You have a copy of the minutes or the agenda in front of you. Would anyone like to add anything? If not, I'd entertain a motion to accept the agenda. Well, you guys don't want to stay for the whole meeting? Yeah, where do you propose moving? First in old business? Yeah. Okay. All right. Anybody have objections to that? Before report? Okay. Any objections? Okay. All right. With that change to the agenda, you entertain a motion to accept the agenda with that change. Motion by Sarah, is there a second? Second by Jim. All in favor, show of hands. All right, motion carries. You had an opportunity to review the minutes. If not, I'll go ahead and put those on the screen if you didn't get a chance to. We'll quickly scroll down to the good stuff. And that's from the last meeting, which will be January 15th. I'm sorry. All right, is there a second? Second by Ron, all in favor, so all right, motion carries. All right, this is a little out of order, but we'll go ahead and move the swearing out ceremony to in front of reports. So, if we could, just take just a second. This is something that is really special, and kind of Chuck Dills, as all of you know, the current sheriff. He got his start here with the city of Dry Ridge in 1989, March 1988. And this is a really special night for him and his family. As his oldest son is about to swear in as a police officer in the city of Dry Ridge, continuing the tradition of the Hills family and the law enforcement community. So, if we could, Blake, I'll get you. Do you want to do it in front of the podium? You want to move it?
Let me see, just right here where you can see.
It would be better if you went around that joint wall type, because the lighting better there.
Okay. Hey, Bernie. First of all, I want to thank the council for allowing me this opportunity. As Jimmy said, this is an honor for me. 30 years ago, actually, in front of this building, I was sworn in by Mike Moldy, the city attorney. He swore me in at about 9 o'clock. It was the most exciting thing that ever happened. So it's a privilege to swear my own son in. And hopefully in 6 more months, this boy here is going to follow his footsteps and get involved in law enforcement also. So you want to hold the Bible out here in front. Blake, put your left hand on the Bible, your right hand up. Do you, Charles Blake, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, so as long as you continue a citizen thereof? And that you will faithfully execute to the best of your ability the office of the Dry Ridge Police Department according to law, and you solemnly swear that since the adoption of the present Constitution, you being a citizen of this state, have not fought a duel with deadly weapons within this state nor out of this state, nor have you sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor have you accepted as a second in carrying out a challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thereof. So help me God? Okay. There's one more additional oath that law enforcement officers take. It's a little short. This oath was in 1942. It's KRS 62.040. And I assume gaming was an issue in 1942 is why they created this law. But if you'll raise your right hand again, place your hand on the Bible. Charles Blake deals with the best of your ability and you detect and prosecute all gamblers and other violation of laws against gaming. Welcome. Okay. Thank you. Thank you all for allowing me to do that. Oh, hold on a second. Go ahead. He's just a hair taller than me.
Jimmy, can we get a picture of you?
Hey, a lot goes with it.
Right, one other thing that I give one of these out. I give one of these out. This is just the executive order that I give out to officiate and to officially hire you. So one of the things that I've always done when hiring a new person to the city is give them a framed copy of the executive order. So I'll give it to you.
Get out of the picture. You did it on purpose. There we go.
Good? All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Had a lot. Thanks. All right.
Everyone is welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. There's some good information here. Obviously, we can't hold you in. We're not going to lock the door. You're welcome. Moving right along, we'll go ahead and move into reports. Chief Smith?
So we're not interrupting, Jimmy. I think we're going to leave so y'all can have a meeting. Thank you all. Thank you.
Some of them.
Okay.
All right, Chief Smith?
For January, we had 148 calls for service. Of those 148, 132 were EMS. Also, the new ambulances in that we purchased. The guys been getting it ready for service. We have inspection this Thursday, so it'll go in service this Thursday once the inspector gets here and inspects it, that kind of stuff. The inspector's also here. They'll be inspecting all of our EMS records and all of our training records and that kind of stuff. So we're looking not to have any problems with any of this by the end of the week. So, but you should see the new truck. Well, they'll come in, first of the week, So if roads are bad, we'll keep her in stock a little while, but I'll take a chance on getting them up initially, but we're doing something too real soon. Okay. Any questions on the information?
Any other questions for the Chief?
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Kells?
There's January statistics. Just look over them if you have any questions.
Of course, the training category will go up drastically next month. There'll be 40 hours a week dedicating that training.
Yeah.
Blake, he enters into the academies. All right, any questions for the Chief? Thank you, Chief. Water department, here. There was I'll just give this report real quick. There's one water report on here, water sampling test result. There was a water main break at the corner of Fashion Ridge and Cole Lane last Friday. We received several calls about low water pressures in the area. All of the information is on the website. I'm just clicking this link, you can get all the information about it. About 4 hours it took to fix it. It was a 10-inch line. It was struck by contractors doing directional drilling. One question, there was a question of whether or not it was marked. I don't know if you can see right here, but the contractor is standing on the markings right on top of the pipe, so there was no question that the pipe was marked. I just wanted to kind of point that out, but all of the history for that break is on the website. Right. Sewer department, Kim?
Just want to update council on the pump station up at the high school. Back in September, I gave you some quotes on fixing some repairs up there, and just want to remind you that those repairs are still needing some attention. The school bus garage technically has a illegal tap now. They haven't paid their wastewater contribution capacity fee for that tap, so we need to address that. Walmart's still at 50% down to one pump there. It's a duplex pump, and we still need to address the issues there as well. Other than that, the system status is in fair shape, but does need some attention pretty soon.
I have questions. Okay. The first, we'll skip over the first part, go to the tap for the bus garage.
Okay.
Have we reminded them or talked to them, you know, reminding them, hey, you still owe this, or have we sent them anything in the mail, like a bill or anything like
Well,
that?
normally we collect those fees when they pay,
Right.
when they pay the water tap. But in this case, Fullerton handles the water.
Right.
So it may be an overlooking on their part, but we do plan to send another letter.
Right. Okay, well, I just wasn't sure if anything had been sent in the first place, because it could be, you know, like you said, this is usually done before anything is ever done, so maybe it's like an oversight, you know, maybe just a general reminder would be all it would take for that. And then second, on the first and third things, I remember with us talking about the things that needed repairing, updating. Did you get us prices?
I did.
You did.
I presented council with quotes to fix all those with.
I looked after the last meeting, and I couldn't find anything.
I think was it around, wasn't it like 60 some? Was it like 60,000?
Total, I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It was in the ballpark of that, of fixing all three things, which was putting grinder pumps out at the new high school to handle a lot of the debris problem that we're having out there. And we're constantly out there pumping and cleaning, and I know a lot of times I see you out there, Carissa, and, you know, wondering what we're doing, and that's what we're doing. We're constantly maintaining that station, on a daily basis with the pumping and the cleaning, the cell phones and all the debris that they put down the toilet. So it's ended up at the station, which is hanging the pumps up, and
And then around 36,000 for that.
I believe it was 26, Ken, for the chopper pumps, and then we had a new panel, up at the other station, and of course the rest of it was for fixing Walmart. But the next meeting, I can have those quotes for you if we want. It's, hopefully moving forward on those.
Just to kind of support what Ken was telling you, we're going to set a tentative, or we're going to have a tentative meeting this week with superintendent and operations director of the school system, just to talk about a couple of those issues, mainly about we need to come up with a game plan on what to do out at high school for the grinder pumps. And then we're also going to make sure they know where we're at on the sewer capacity piece. So, but Ken's we're working together to get that, to get those resolved. But we just want to, I appreciate Ken for bringing that up, just keep you posted on our progress on this. Anybody have anything else? Sewer department? Ken, thank you. Appreciate it. Road department, Barry?
We placed another order for salt today with them calling for snow tonight and tomorrow night, and we're pretty thin back there right now. I didn't want to be overstocked. I didn't want to have more than we absolutely needed, but we've probably got between 50 and 75 ton back there right now, which will do us for 2 or 3 snows if they're not big deals, but we're okay on salt. The street clearing, we basically, it's my decision to come out when the snow's about over. I don't want to come out when it first starts, because we're defeating the purpose. We put salt down, it gets covered right back up. We're just wasting money, throwing money on the street. So we try to, depending on the situation, if school's already canceled, that makes a big that's a big
Factor.
yeah, and when we go out and things of that sort, we haven't had any complaints that I know of. If we had, nobody's made me aware of any complaints, but you know, The only issues we have, like sometimes in Brentwood, some of the subdivisions, people will park on the street. It makes it hard to get around on Hogan's Mill. There's a particular car up there that always parks in a cul-de-sac, and all it's going to take is for us to get a patch of ice and slide into that car. So I wish there was a way we could keep everybody from parking on the street, but that slows the process down a little bit also. And then as far as the sign, did you get those pictures of? Okay.
How much is salt done now?
$59.44 delivered.
Who's that with?
That is with Morton Salt,
That's who always does.
which compared to what some other places are paying around here, it's fairly cheap. I think the county's paying almost $90 a ton.
That's good price.
Yeah. And we were allotted 225 ton on our contract, and this will put us at 100. This next order we have coming in. But we're doing okay on salt.
Thank you.
I'm just trying not to.
Wait,
Yes,
We won't
exactly.
need that much more.
Yeah.
Well, we're not penalized if we don't buy.
No.
We can just buy it at that rate guaranteed.
Correct.
At the
It's
225.
at 225 ton, we get it for $59.44. Then anything over and above that, the price could possibly change. This sign, this is going to be, of course, this is on a computer screen, but that will be the Sergeant Daniel Wallace Way sign. It was.
Oh, did you? I thought you were going in.
No. That's going to be on a 54-inch sign, which is a very big sign. That's the smallest sign we can get. It'll look just like the rest of the street signs with a green background. However, on this particular sign, since it's so big, it will have aluminum channel on the top and the bottom with a special bracket bolted to it to keep the wind from bending it. But it will be a very, very long sign. 54 inches is the shortest we can put it on. Then for the Purple Heart sign, there will be
Don't make them too big.
you don't have a picture of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I clicked it.
But anyway, there will be the sign on the right there. The sign we're putting up will not say reserved on it. It'll say Purple Heart Veteran on it. That is something that we got off of Google that we can actually transfer. We can make that onto a street sign, like a no parking sign. We'll have that on both sides of the post with the street sign name. It'll be right below it. So I presented that to Jimmy, and he was accepting of it. And but it'll look just like that. It's just not going to say reserved on it. It'll say Purple Heart Veteran.
Only other thing I didn't have on here is you did potholes.
Yes, yeah, good potholes, and I see
Couple of potholes to address.
we've got a couple more that's popped up that we need to get fixed. But yeah, most of the potholes were fixed. There might be a couple in Ferguson that we didn't get, but that particular day we were doing them, it was getting late in the day and traffic was getting heavy, so that's an early morning job when there's not much traffic.
Anybody have anything else for Barry? Thank you, Barry, appreciate it. Brent?
For the committee update, most of them is reading through our individual cells and making notes on what needs to be changed. Because we've got to the meat of the planning and zoning. The next item there, issue was bridge construction. I've been dealing with the county and Patty up there because they did not follow site plan where they've added additions to the buildings, more to the other buildings. And also it's been brought to the attention that they have to have a variance for the playground because it's 20 feet off from the court. And there's no guardrail or anything there to stop cars from I'm waiting to hear back from the county and the engineer on why stuff was missed. Also had a complaint on the property, the area behind the little shrimp, from the storage of vehicles. That's been turned over to the county, since she's the enforcement, at the ordinance of she's the enforcement part. And then on the 25th, we had a Board of Adjustments meeting for RDC Enterprises for variance to allow minimum setback to 24.5 feet to the 50. Which should be a copy of the minutes and the map itself.
This is what the variance was about the 50-foot setback. They just went half the distance of the setback. The 26.9 is where the building is actually set instead of on the 50-foot setback. So the variance allowed them to go half the distance, which half the distance would have been 25, so the building sets within the constraints of the dimensional boundaries. So, explain that good enough?
I understood, yeah.
So all of that was approved. Anybody have anything for Brent? All right, thanks, Brent. The high school tennis team will start using the tennis courts at Fiddle on the 15th of this month, which I think is way too cold to play tennis, but that's when they play tennis. So we did put the nets back up last week. So if you see them down there, that's why they're up in the middle of February. Brent, do you have anything for IT?
Just their Cincinnati Bells installed their equipment as part of the franchise agreement to give us access to public access channel. And that should be going live in the next month or so. And then I completed the map that's online now, so you can see the city streets, which shows the difference of what is a city street, what isn't, so it's all in city limits.
While you're at it, you want to
There's under the activity, shows what I did every month, about 8 hours in various stuff is logged. Currently, as of the end of January, there's 512 business licenses issued. There's about 200 that are out of compliance, and we've been working with Keith on getting in contact, making letters before we go to the county attorney to get even more involved.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, as far as ABC, no new licenses or requests, no renewals this time, so I have nothing to report on that. In the mayor's reports, for those of you who were with us last station from the auditors, one of the things that they suggested in the audit was the need for a water rate study. The water rate study would also be inclusive of the sewer rate as well. We reached out to Kentucky Rural Water to work with them to start the process to do a rate study. Doesn't cost anything to do the rate study. We met with them last week, Amy and I did, got all of the documents they were requesting, contracts, audit reports, everything that they were needing. So we're aiming to have a presentation to council for the March meeting, it'll be the second March meeting. I believe that's the 16th of March. 20th? Okay, it's the second March meeting. So we'll have that report back to council. We met last week with the structural engineer to look at the apparatus bay floor at the fire station to see whether it's something that we really needed to be concerned with, or if it was okay for the time being. The structural engineer, we also brought a geotech in as well. They decided that they needed to see core samples of what's underneath that floor. They think they're going to find the basement with a lot of void space. But to be able to do their job, they're going to need that. So you should see, if you see a drill rig here later this week, that's what that's about, is the drill core samples to find out how far that basement or what the condition of that basement is that for whatever reason is causing, or they believe is causing the issues with that whole building. So
This is something different than the
concrete pumping company, correct?
The concrete company, we asked them about coming back out and lifting it again, and they said they couldn't. They've done everything they can do. It's just, they keep lifting it up and it keeps settling back down. They lift it up, there's just no more they can do. So the engineer just wants to see what's under there, why it keeps settling. And they should have a report within about 2 weeks after they drill. But they should be here this week to drill.
Later's gonna be Wednesday.
Wednesday? Okay. So if you see a drill rig, they're not drilling for oil. Hopefully they find it. Yeah. Okay. The development on Sergeant Wallace, Daniel Wallace Way is to begin this week. Contacted the developer last week, spoke with him, met with the general contractor this morning. They're going to be bringing in the construction trailers this week, putting up some fencing for the road to kind of keep people off. And over the course of the next 2 to 3 weeks, they'll be ramping up, starting to bring stuff in. But they should be full bore in about 3 weeks with the site construction. There's a couple delays. One is that they're building the exact same hotel in Bowling Green, and they're finishing up that hotel right now. So one of the delays was they found some things while building that hotel that they wanted to change, and some things that they had to change that just didn't work right. So they've made those changes before they got the final prints. So now that they've got that building just about done, they're ready to start breaking ground on this one. So you'll see a lot of activity out there starting in the end of this week and into next week. Yeah. They're what he was telling me about this morning was just a hotel. From time to time I get letters from Mr. Gary Conrad. I don't know if it's over the internet sometimes. Well, my son was off of school, so he was here watching back. Well, it is. It's in the blood. You witnessed that tonight with the law enforcement. All right. I don't know why it seems so slow, but yeah. From time to time, Mr. Conrad sends me letters. This particular, I won't bring it up, but you guys can look at it. He addressed some concerns with some streets around Dry Ridge. I just put the response letter that went back to Mr. Conrad, just thanking him for letting us know about the potholes, which were already addressed before he sent the letter, and state highway that we don't have any control over anyways. But the financials are right there, the current P&Ls for all of the accounts, and then the purchase orders. So I won't spend any time going through those. And whole business, item number 1, the EMS cost sharing update. I've contacted the judge's office a couple times. We can't get a response back from the judge. However, I did get a chance to talk to one of the magistrates this week. And she informed me that they are just about finished with the RFP, and we should be expecting that in the next couple of weeks to see how they're going to move forward. I think she said they wanted to have a caucus meeting, so I'm looking forward to seeing that information come out. That's all I know about that. Item number 2, last meeting we had the presentation of the draft of the annual audit. Meetings that I haven't heard, no one has found anything in there that needed to be addressed. The copy of that statement is here, but there's also just a municipal order accepting that fiscal year 2017 audit. I think you all have a hard copy of it in front of you, but it is available online as well. So anyways, this is Municipal Resolution 2018-01. It's just a resolution of the City of Dry Ridge accepting and adopting the 2017 audit as presented. those are just placeholders on that will fix that one, so. If there's a motion and a second to accept this resolution.
I'm going to say we have to do the motion and the voting on resolution.
I'm sorry, you mentioned to
I'll make the motion that we accept this resolution.
Do I have a second on that? Second. All right, second by Ron. All in favor? All right. Just kind of a housekeeping item there, just officially about that one. All right, item number 3, we did earlier. Item number 4. This is the directional signage rendering. Just what I had the title as the last meeting, but at the last meeting of council, we talked about the intersection of Ferguson and Taft Highway. And let me just give a little history there, just so everybody's kind of on the same page. For over a year now, we've kind of been looking at that hillside alongside of Ferguson. We thought last year that we had a structural problem with it. We thought we had a slip in it. And it turned out that we didn't. It was it wasn't an actual structural problem with the road. But there's been a lot of talk, and we've been looking at what we could do to improve that intersection to kind of make the entrance into the city, into that neighborhood, or that section of town, just kind of a beautification project. And then another item is, and this has been going on for several years, is the city has had directional signs in the city for several years. And the condition of the signs are horrific. So most of those signs have actually been removed. I know this is one thing that I spoke with Buck Walters while I was running for office. This is one of the things that he was concerned with was people not knowing how to get back to the dealership, and I agreed with him that it is hard if you're not familiar with the area how to get back there. So this was one thing that we were committed to working on and through, was to come up with some sort of a way to fix the directional signs that the city already had that was dilapidated condition, and create some ways, mainly to fix a situation where people didn't know how to get to some of the new businesses. So actually what happened over time is both of these projects came together kind of at the same time. It was kind of a chicken and the egg. When we were looking at the directional sign for that area in Ferguson, we knew that we were going to have to either build a sign that was going to be 35, 40 feet tall, in order to get the footing in the bottom of that hillside, or we were going to have to bring the dirt up. Well, it kind of coincided with our plans of fixing that whole entrance and making that look different. So that's when both these projects kind of came together. Now, there's been a lot of discussion out and about on social media and around town over the signs, what would be on the signs. And originally, the original sign design was in order to do something that was just a directional component. But when we were looking at some of this, we were noticing that the cost of these signs, if you look at this rendering up here, if you'll kind of just take this section here, which is the digital side, if you kind of take that out of play in the original design, so to speak, the signs were still going to be about $20,000 because we needed a sign that was going to look good, it was going to be sturdy, it was going to stand the test of time, so that the people that were advertising on it would have something of quality to be advertised on, and it wouldn't need constant maintenance. Well, once we started looking at that, we knew that our cost to fix that hillside right there for that one sign was going to be tremendous. That's when the whole advertising component was kind of born. it was born as a way to actually generate the revenue to pay for those signs and pay to fix up that entrance. And that's when we started, that's kind of how things got started on that. And then we kind of noticed that that the money that would generate would pay for the sign fairly quickly. And those the improvements that were made there. So then we started looking that maybe that sign would then pay for the green space, the maintenance of the green space, like taking care of the landscaping, the mowing, and that kind of stuff. And that kind of spilled over. Well, what if the sign just took care of all the green spaces? And it kind of just filtered into the Parks and Rec budget. So it's kind of, there's a lot of things that have been talked about. And I just kind of wanted to bring a little history so everybody knew, so everybody's kind of on the same page of where we were. At the last meeting, we talked about, or 2 meetings ago, we talked about the initial sign and the grading thing, and we had the engineer's estimates, and we had all of that, which is all listed here. But we decided that we weren't really going to know what it was until we bid it out. If you remember, the original bid estimates from the engineer were about $75,000. Last Friday, we opened bids on the grading and the site improvements, and I'm just going to bring up the bid summaries for this. All right, we had 7 successful bidders, and there was 1 bidder that didn't qualify. Didn't follow the procedure. But once we put this project out to bid, we actually found out that the lowest bidder on the project was $55,900. So it was $20,000, roughly $20,000 under what our engineer estimates were on the site grading and that improvement part. Irregardless of what kind of sign that we did, even if we were going to fix up that section, that intersection there. So we noticed that what we were kind of thinking would be a little bit on the high side there. So that initial number that we talked about 2 meetings ago, which real quick was around, what was that, 150 or 250?
I don't have those numbers with me, sorry.
I think it was around 250. It was 140 for the sign and 75.
I think that was the cap on it. What we were looking at was like, with the grading was in the $75,000 to $90,000 range, and then the sign was the remainder of it.
Well, once we put this out to bid, that we actually found that construction part was considerably less, or it's going to turn out to be considerably less for us. Now, that's kind of irregardless if we do anything with the sign for that intersection. But we did go ahead and build a sign, or bid the sign project out as well. And bear with me just a second, it's in a different location. It's all the way at the bottom of this. Okay. Those were the bids that were received. Each one of those individual bids are listed on just directly below that on the website. But this is the minutes from that meeting, from the bid opening. But there were 4 successful bids for the sign portion of it. Now, remember, the sign portion was for 2 different signs. It was for the sign not only at Ferguson, but it was for a sign at Fashion Ridge and Taft Highway. The 4 bids that we got on this ranged from 330 to 123, so there's a huge difference in there. But what we were originally thinking in that $140,000 range was well within, well where we thought we should be on that project. So, all right. Hopefully I didn't muddy the water, but I kind of wanted to explain how we got to fixing the intersection, how we got to the sign, and most importantly, the reason why we talked about the sign at that point in adding the digital feature to it was to then generate the revenue to offset the cost of the sign, and then all the future expenses to maintain the sign and the green space, and all of the beautifications around the interstate and in the parks, that the Parks Department does. So, Kenny, I know you've been instrumental in this sign portion, so I'll let you kind of, you want to add anything there,
Well,
kind of how we got to where we're at.
I just know that I was not in favor of, until I saw everything, of the digital. And I think I voiced my opinion on that. To see if it was actually going to pay for itself, what Robin was going to
Right. Well,
actually show us, if we were going to have enough money from businesses to, is it going to supply its own own way? And that was my concern.
well, I spoke with Robin, and she asked not to make a presentation to council. I agreed, supported her decision for that, because there had been so much recent controversy about the sign and the project. All of which, in my opinion, is the cart in front of the horse, because we haven't even got to the point of even talking about all of the legal side of putting the sign there. We hadn't had those discussions yet as a council. So there was a lot of rumors started, and some myth truths put out there about the whole process. But in the spirit of being open, I still think that the community would benefit from the improvements at the intersection. However, Thursday afternoon at 4:30, I received an email from Mr. Simpson, Jim Simpson, who's the adjoining property owner, withdrawing his support and to sign the agreement to allow us to build, or to do the site work, the fill portion. So at this point, because the sign and the fill and all of that has been taken out of context in a lot of conversations that didn't really talk to all the truths and all the facts, now I think that the possibility of even doing the green space improvement is off the table. So he's had these. He was the very first person that we talked to, and I gave him copies of them the day that Logan sent them to him. So. But yeah, he's been on board. I'm not sure. Maybe I let you. You've had comments with Jim, just trying to help us a little bit, but I wish he was here. We did extended an offer to come to the council meeting tonight, so.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked. I remember when I drafted the memo, which was pretty straightforward, I mean, there wasn't a lot, fairly short, and I sent it to him for review, and I said, I know there's going to be changes. I know there's going to be some things you're going to want to tweak it. I don't know what you need or want out there for your property to be improved, because it's clearly going to be improved by what we're doing. There's no question. But how does he want it to look? And instead of getting, response, I need to see more drawings, or here, let me get you something, which is sort of what we anticipated, he indicated he was no longer interested in working something out. You saw the same email, I think. The reasons were vague at best, and I responded back that I was sorry to hear that. Again, certainly expected some input from him about how he wanted everything to look, and matter of fact, I even made a point to meet with him 2 or 3 weeks before this, to find out what he hoped to see out there, and at that point everything was fine. So I think what Jimmy was alluding to was if Jim is no longer interested in working with us on this, that's fine, but it changes what we have to do up there. At least that's my understanding from an engineering standpoint.
Yeah. I guess the real question is, now we're kind of at a crossroads and deciding what we want to do. If we want to pursue either the green space improvements to try and change the look of that intersection, irregardless if any signs there, or if we want to continue talking about directional signs. Either one, we're kind of at a crossroads now, because we would need to get the adjoining property owner, Mr. Simpson, back on board if we wanted to do anything, or if we wanted to do anything by the original plan, and that would mean the bids that were already submitted. If we made any changes to this plan, we'd have to throw everything out and start over on those bids. The only other thing that we could do, according to Logan, would be to do an engineered wall. You basically have to do a retaining wall there. For traffic driving down 22, it wouldn't look that bad because you'd be looking over it. You wouldn't notice it, but it would be an eyesore for Mr. Simpson and the folks that would be driving on Race Street. So that's kind of the only way that we can continue to do the green space improvements. And I say this every time, irregardless of whether or not any directional sign or sign at all goes onto that location. So that's kind of where we're at. If we want to do these, accept these bids, then we have to get Mr. Simpson back on board. And this is kind of a crossroads for the council of what exactly do you wish to do at this point?
Could I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Has anyone talked to the State Highway Department, District 6, about
Yes.
this and got their approval to do this?
We have the permits, the application for the permits in hand. The only thing that they're waiting for to grant us the permit for this construction here is the agreement with the landowner. That's the only thing they need as far as permits for this project. As far as the
there's a
sign,
statute somewhere that says that a sign that size could not be built close to an intersection where you have stoplights.
okay, well, let me back you
Am I
up
right
just a
there
little
or
bit.
not?
Let me back you up a little bit. This is where I think so much of the controversies come from, because people aren't separating the two different things, If we're talking about the construction of filling this hole,
Okay, I'll talk about
that doesn't have anything to do with the sign, so the sign doesn't come into place. If you're talking about just filling the hole, the state transportation cabinet, District 6, has these permits, and they're just waiting on the letter from Mr. Simpson agreeing to allow us to do this on his property. As far as that project goes, that's the only thing that's waiting on.
No, I didn't say there was going to be no problem with the pole. What I was talking about, the sign part itself.
Well, I
That's
think what social media has blown this all out of proportion is they're saying it's a billboard. Now, do you know what the size of a billboard is? An average size of a billboard is 14 by 48. This sign that we're looking at, and I'm just saying this because I'm not on board with it yet, but I'm just saying that the LCD part of it is 5 by 10. That's all it is.
10 feet tall, 5 feet tall.
5 feet by 10. Where your billboard size is 14 by 48. It's not a damn billboard that's going up on the corner up here that you're going to see on the side of the interstate.
I think along those lines, maybe to go to Clay's question, and I don't want to forget exactly what it's called, but the Highway Beautification Act.
No, that
Yeah,
beautification.
you can't be within 660 feet of a highway. Why 60? Who knows?
That was Lady Johnson come up with that.
Picked up that number, and that's the only thing that we've been able to find that would be applicable to what it is we were trying to do in terms of the sign and the interstate, and what is it, 1,000 feet?
Well over 1,000.
It's over 1,000 feet. So, I mean, to answer your question, Clay, that's the only statute on point that we'd have to worry about, and we're fine on that one. Now, if there's other things, I haven't seen it yet, but I think that was kind of what you were asking about, the highway. And,
I knew the statutes out there on that, and I knew it was something about close to an intersection and close to stoplights, it couldn't be only so close. Sometimes it causes wrecks, people get distracted, look at that sign, and run right through that red light, and done kill themselves.
No, that has to do with the interstate. not-
Well, you can be distracted from the guy standing out there at the corner jumping around with his little sign, 2 foot from the road.
That's
I
more
mean-
liberated.
Yeah, but the city wouldn't own that. Maybe not.
Why can't we have a sign just like we got out there? Going down by Wendy's there, have signs there.
There is no
Says-
sign there.
Says, Kyle Chevrolet, why can't we put up a sign there, right there?
Well, the problem with putting up a sign like that is you've got a hole that's 30 feet deep. In order to put any kind of a sign there, far enough,
You mean we couldn't drill down, put posts up and hold a sign?
you can't. You can't do that, because you're gonna spend a tremendous amount of money building a sign. You're gonna have $20,000 to $30,000 into a sign, a steel sign that's gonna be that tall or that deep to this ground. That's where we were getting the chicken and the egg problem. Is we were gonna have to spend that kind of money to put that sign
Excuse me.
before we filled the hole. So if we did do a sign like that, it was gonna cost us a lot of money, yes.
There are about 100 posts in the ground guard wall. 2 more posts on the side walls and a 6-foot panel, 8 inches tall with Kyle Chevrolet do it and they're front and back. That seems like we've done a much more complicated thing. But in other words, the sign pretty much like everybody's got, there's guardrail running all the way down. And there's over 100 posts on that guard, in the ground. And a directional sign, which is the first time I spoke to you, what I offered was to put up a directional sign at my expense if you would allow.
Which the city can't do that. You can't let you put up a sign. I mean, the city can build a sign there. But the city, this is where we've gotten back to this whole, we have to address the entire directional sign look for all of the signs. And this is something that this council has talked about, I know the entire time that I've been here, and they did it before me, is look at directional signs. I've seen all kinds of examples of different signs over the years. They've never been able to come up with something that met everybody's requirements.
These bids you opened up, when did you open them up that you just showed us?
Friday at noon.
Why didn't you notify us that you was opening?
We did.
You didn't notify me.
At the last meeting, it was in the notes that we were continuing to put things out for bid and when they'd be open. It was in the last meeting.
Yes, I didn't give it to you.
Plus, it was in the... So, like I said, we're kind of at a crossroads here. We really have to separate the green space project from the sign project. If we want to put the sign project on a hold and address the green space, we can do that. I think a direction, any kind of directional sign in that current hole is not a good direction to go there.
My idea is to put it on hold, but I'm not for it anyway. It's getting in too much money, you're talking about $140,000 to put up a sign. These people advertising on it, they ain't gonna be spending $600 a month to advertise. I've talked to several businesses and they ain't nothing gonna do that. I can tell you that right now.
I would like to see that project. I would like to see which individuals, and I don't know if Buck's been talked to or not, I don't know if Greg's been talked
I haven't talked to
to,
either
I don't
one.
know if Brooke's been talked to in the businesses, but I would like to see written down in black and white which business has been talked to, yes, they will support it, no, they will not,
All right,
and how
I'll get it
much
for you
money
tomorrow.
would be. Huh?
I'll get it for you tomorrow.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
Not a problem.
And what a lot of them do, advertise 2 or 3 months ago, I want out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it would cost. I don't think.
The whole deal makes it keep from going 50 different things, but people want to know, how much is it gonna cost to finish this thing up? When you're flat done, how much is it gonna cost? How many people are gonna advertise on this thing right as it goes put up? That's what they want to know. Make it real simple. How
How many conversations have me and you had of this?
they wanna know how, it's social media, screw all that. They wanna know how much does it cost when you're done?
Right.
How much will that cost right there when it is completely done? And then get the people, that lady, whoever, and how many people are gonna advertise on it. That's what they want, that's all they wanna know. It's real simple. And
Well, and
instead of doing all this
and
other
that's-
crap.
This is where, and I'll be upfront, Mr. Brockman, this is exactly what we were trying to do. But, and I'm gonna tell you up front, I'm not gonna push something that I don't think's gonna make it.
Right. so
There's
that-
no
that's-
way in this
that-
world,
And that's
but-
all they wanna know. That's what they
But
wanna know.
until we get all the
No one
rest of this
can say
stuff set up and ready, I mean, we can't, there's no way that a firm is gonna go to you and say, here, will you commit to this, but I can't guarantee it's gonna be there.
Yeah,
Now, that's where we are. If we had a possibility of this going to go through, and this is why we did the bid section, to know exactly what we were gonna have to be out. So we would know how much we were gonna need to purchase.
You just
purchase
need to
out.
spend $350,000 and have no income coming in.
But this is what I'm saying. We weren't gonna, nobody is asking to put this thing up without a commitment.
Right, but that's what he said. He was gonna get that girl and she was gonna go through the
She was gonna look at it.
and tell us how many people were interested.
And that was gonna.
So where are they?
No, because, and this is the conversation I had with her the other day, that she said in her own words, that if this has been blown so far out of proportion that she can't go to anybody and ask them
Because everybody wants to know how much is it gonna cost.
well, and that's exactly the reason we went through this exercise, is getting
I
this
know,
situation. So now we know what the costs are.
Right, but is that the final cost? It's gonna be $190,000. It's completely done, just like that.
And then another question you might be, what will the ad space be worth at Walmart Mills? I mean, there's 17 years now. Just something to think about. There's 17 years there, and they moved to Williamstown, and the first new artery that goes in Williamstown, I think they'll move back. So that's the question you ask yourself. And of course, I have an issue with, and I'm sure you guys don't care about it because you're not sitting on my investment, but I have an issue with the fact, this is part of my presentation. Let me ask one question before I make this short presentation. Do we have an 8.5% tax on insurance, including health insurance? Is that correct, David?
Health insurance, I don't believe it's on health
No.
insurance.
It's on vehicle.
Well, you know, my United Healthcare book says, and the state's website says that it is on health insurance now.
And I can check that for you, I don't know. I wasn't here when it went into effect, so I
According to my
can't tell you
United
that.
Healthcare manual, and according to the state's website, it is. And if that's the case, our store, between Cindy and our employees, is generating $70,000 a year of direct tax to the city of Dry Ridge. And the idea that you guys, given the fact that we're paying $70,000 a year direct tax, and if I'm wrong, Amy, I'm not gonna be off by $1 million.
You
Well,
can
she ought to
let
know
me
if she
know
gets a
the
check.
insurance, company it is, and I can pull their, quarterly premium and tell you it may come from a specific agent. Do you understand? Because each agent sends those in, so I can pull their returns and you can check that.
Well, it shouldn't be, he shouldn't be charging no $70,000.
So
But
let
the
me,
city ought to know if we get a check from that company.
let me finish.
I don't get a check for $70,000.
Hang on a second, is this, are you, I want to give you plenty of time in your presentation. Does this have anything to do with the sign stuff? Because I want to kind of finish this up and stay on.
Sort of, go ahead, I can have,
Okay.
I can have.
Well, I just want to keep your presentation to your presentation, so. With the, so, what do you want to do on the green space and the sign project?
You can't do nothing with the green space because,
Right.
because Mr. Simpson won't sign off for us to have, what I understand, the water discharge, the drainage discharge, correct?
Yeah, the
Across his
improvements-
property.
The improvements as planned, yeah.
Okay, so if that's the case, if we can't get nothing from Jim Simpson, I'm tired of beating a dead horse. Drop it, let's move on to something else. There'll be no directional sign, there'll be nothing. That's my opinion.
refuse.
Like the rest of the council feel.
I don't necessarily agree with that. Whole, like, until Mr. Simpson agrees, we're kind of stuck. So I think maybe we could, make a plan to pursue further, maybe, like, sit down with Mr. Simpson and ask if we can even make a deal with his mind. If he specifically changed his mind in the first place just because of all the bull crap that was going around, or if there's a specific reason why he said no. If there is a reason, if it's legitimate, then by all means he has that, he has that right.
Sure.
But I don't want it to be a never mind just because of all the gossip that's going on. You know what I mean?
And one of the reasons, Sarah, and I'm 99% sure this is one of Buck's issues, and it's a legitimate issue. There was this question of how are you going to handle out-of-town businesses wanting to advertise? I mean, that was a huge issue, and I get it, and I think everybody else got it too. And I didn't talk to Buck, I talked to his attorney, and I talked to Jim in person. And I said, we acknowledge we got to figure out how, if at all, we're going to allow that. Do you get in a situation where you allow out-of-town businesses that don't compete with local businesses, like the Ark, prime example. We have no Ark to compete with the other Ark. And then, of course, those are the easy ones. There's tough ones. And Jim's situation is the prime example. You have out-of-town real estate agents who don't have a physical presence here, but they probably do a lot of business here or spend a lot of time here. So you get some of these that are kind of amorphous. And I understand that, and I think these guys understand that too. I think the frustration, I know I'm kind of getting a feel for my part of this, but I think some of the frustration is we couldn't even really get into some serious discussions of how we work through those details to try to kind of sort of make everybody happy or content because of all the crap, the lies, frankly, we got out on Facebook and the rest of it derailed everything. So, and I think that's why some of the folks here feel the way that they do. So, I know that was one legitimate concern that Jim Simpson had, and like I said, I think it's one of Buck's concerns, and it is a real concern. But as we said here, we haven't got an opportunity to really work through that. And maybe we can't, I don't know if we have to try.
So, unless I hear anything other, you guys kind of want to drop this?
Just table it. We can table it.
Want to table it? Let's do the motion to table. Oh, sorry. Okay. Sarah, second. All right. Motion is tabled. All right. Item 1 in new business, North Main Street parking. Take the second. Okay. Brent, you want to try and just make this very, very brief. There's been a complaint. There's been some complaints in some of the businesses on North Main Street in the parking. This is right in front of the Pinewood Inn. The yellow line represents the state right-of-way. I know it's not a very good drawing. We'll have a better drawing for the presentation. You can see from the line, about half of those cars or some of those cars are half in and half over. So some of them are on the right-of-way, some of them are on the Pinewood Inn property. Question is whether or not that's public parking or whether it's not. So we have fought this about all the parking on Main Street. So what I've done is I've contacted every single person that owns property in this affected area, which is from Greg's building all the way down to the White House on both sides. And they are coming here Thursday at 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock on Thursday. And we're going to sit down at a table together and work out some kind of agreement on what the parking is going to be up there, what the right-of-way is, how far we're going to put jet skis in the middle of the road. We're going to park the tow trucks and cars that are for sale and all of that. We're going to address all of those issues once and for all. And one of the things that I told each of them as I talked to them all individually to invite them to this meeting is that we all have to come to an agreement on this. or the city's gonna be forced to get involved, and nobody's gonna like the outcome if the city enforces the right-of-way, which the state says we're the enforcement of the right-of-way. If we did that, then that would limit parking to everything on the left side of that yellow arrow. There would be no parking on that right side. That would be private property. And they couldn't get to it, with parking spaces. So I told them, everybody has got to come up with an agreement and stop threatening to kill everybody's vehicles, because that's what it's come down to. Pinewood is...
That's what I want to know. Who's complaining?
The owner, there's a new owner of Pinewood, and she's trying to figure out who those parking spaces belong to. They think she believes those parking spaces are for her, she owns the parking spaces and they're for her tenants. Everyone else on the street, Polly, Timmy, they believe that that's public parking spaces. And once you look at the right-of-way, it's neither one. It's not all public and it's not all private. It's mixed and it's half and half. And they're not going to like it if we have to enforce it. So we've got to come up with an agreement. She's got to allow some parking, some public parking with those spaces. And I think we can. If we get everybody to the table, I think we can come up with some kind of resolution. But I just wanted you guys to know what is going on. But we're going to schedule to have that meeting here Thursday at 1 o'clock. You're welcome to come if you really want to.
Who's off the phone with you?
I don't know.
I ended up in the middle of that deal. Last name is Schroeder, maybe saying that slightly wrong. Wilmer, some lady? Mildred, thank you. Mildred, and her husband, I forget his name. They bought it from basically Charlie Caldwell. And she honestly believed that all that parking was hers. And apparently it addressed the issue with Polly and with Timmy Beavers. My impression was not much problem with Timmy, but her and Polly got kind of ugly. So she called, I think, the sheriff's department first, and then she called me because I'd been involved in the transaction, and I told her I really had no idea that I would come up here to take a look, and by the time I did that, I think she'd been calling up here. So we ended up walking down the middle of the street last week, and with Brett and Jimmy and some others.
Greg was there.
Yeah, Greg was there, yeah. He joined us to kind of plot that out, and sure enough, as we thought, we cut right through the middle. So, either, like Jimmy said, and we told him, if you guys show up at this meeting, and we'll try to work out something that benefits everybody, at least all the adjacent or business owners real close there, and we just address it in one shot and probably the whole stretch. Or you guys don't work it out, the council just going to have to make a decision that you may not like. And that got, to their credit, I think I got everybody to the table pretty quick, right?
Yeah, everybody signed on. Greg, she did call you, I got the list. Well, but I told her to include you because of the detailed shop. So, yeah, you don't really have anything to park there, but I did ask her to get a car, but she didn't. She got one here if you want to. Come on, we can park there if you want to.
Yeah.
I got plenty, we can go out there.
The city could say no parking whatsoever all the way through there, and then she may end up with 2 parallel spots. Not all she would get. I don't know if Timmy and Polly would get anything. Maybe at the far end they might get one, but technically it could be, well, we could just say nothing.
Well, the problem is we look back through the ordinances all the way back to ordinance number 1, and there's not been an ordinance that defines that as parking, on-street parking. So, we've all been down. That's the reason why I'm trying to put all the parties together on the same table. So I can't make it no parking.
Parking is dreadful.
Well, we can do no parking in the right of way. That's the thing. We could do that, and then that would affect the parking spaces on the other side in front of Timmy's business and in front of Polly's business that we've always been dealing with. I know Polly and Timmy both have, a gentleman's agreement with Clay, when Clay was mayor, to keep a section of that open for sidewalk use. and they still try to honor that, but if we really start enforcing the right of way, they won't be able to park there. They won't be able to put anything there, because the right of way goes over there about 4 foot away from their building. So, but anyways, just wanted to let you know, I didn't want to get into a big long drawn out talk about that, but, all right, the floor is yours, Buck.
Yeah.
Okay. Not that it matters to some of you, but to clear up, to clear up an issue, you guys think you think you're the victim of the rumor on social media.
Close to it.
You ought to
We can hear you better.
You ought to be in the car business, is all I have to say. And by the way, I noticed when you guys put me on the agenda there, you put an S on the end of my name. Thank you, that's the first thing you've given me, I appreciate it. So, we didn't have to move. What happened coming out of bankruptcy was I signed an agreement that we would have to participate in Chevrolet's new image program. I know if you drive around the country, all the Chevrolet stores look the same. So we took a look at our store, and based on some of the requirements in it, the service drive-through lane, it was going to be such an extensive remodel that on a 37-year-old metal building, that we decided it might be better to look elsewhere. So some of these things that you guys contemplate and think about, when the money is your own, you consider it much more seriously. And we looked at property all over Williamstown. I own 4 acres behind the Marathon in Crittenden. And that was initially, once I looked at Williamstown, I would like to stay in Williamstown, Barnes Road, gosh, it's got issues. It's got issues because west side, it's got issues because it's got the tracks on the east side. It's just about time before that crossing closes, and there's no traffic count out there. When they miss the opportunity for the travel center, they miss bringing traffic to the, opportunity knocks, you gotta answer the door. So we started to look around, and first and foremost, I had Chevrolet's site selection team come down, and they looked at the property in Crittenden. It was, state franchise laws is 10 miles, which our closest competition there would have been Tom Gill, and we've been 16 miles. That's also happens to be the same number General Motors uses. And I can tell you that we'd be $1 million better off today if I could have located on that piece of property. So legally, they tell me, legally you can go. But we don't want you, and I'm sorry to use the word, we don't want you whoring on our metro market. So if you move here, we might bring somebody into the south of you, which would effectively cut our market territory there. So I'm still with the, like a lot of people aren't, probably because I didn't rock the boat sometimes over the years. There's a lot of dealers of all stripes gone out of business since I started with Bill in 1984, and since I became a dealer in 1991. Lots and lots and lots of dealers have gone out of business. It happened. So I started looking in Dry Ridge. I got to tell you, my personal favorite was the lot at the end of Blackbird. That's a lot I liked about. I looked at the Love's lot on the top of the hill, and the issue up there was it wasn't big enough. So I bring Chevrolet's site team down again, and they look at the properties, and then I looked at this property on Ferguson. And they liked the Love's. The Love's was their #1 location, and the Blackburn was #2. And this one they advised me against, which it was an incredibly expensive site to develop. Any of you that remember that, remember the first thing that we did when we went in there is we spent $35,000. Everybody seems to have forgotten the forest that was there.
I paid Dean Stiff and his crew $35,000 to take out all the trees. Our mass excavation on that property was $455,000 because we cut 12 foot of rock off the south end. In the process of doing this, getting this project finished, after you spend $35,000 taking down those trees, the last thing that you want them to do is grow back up. So it cost me about $5,000 a year to bush hog the 4 acres hill on the hillside by Walmart. The Bay property's 12 acres. There's 4 acres behind the Chinese restaurant and 4 acres of slope on our side. Now we've got a street, we've got nearly 2,000 foot of street that, I don't know if any of you've noticed, but we mow every week. And I don't know if you ever come back there, but the garbage is picked up. In the wintertime, it's picked up 2 or 3 times a week. In the summertime, it's picked up every day. The first time I spoke to you about the directional sign, you can talk about who wants to, and I remember things differently. I remember asking you about the signs. Look, Jimmy, we'll pay for the sign. I want a directional sign like other people in the city have. We've got as difficult a challenge there because we're around behind Walmart as anybody. So I wasn't going to cost the city or the taxpayer anything, and I guarantee you, everybody in this room, every male child can go out there and figure out how to put up a directional sign at that entrance, and we agreed to pay for it. You told me you wanted a sign that you could self-advertise on. I told you, if my competition, you put up an advertising sign, and my competition advertised on it, I was going to sue the city. That's the way I remember it. We parted amicably, nothing else was said. I talked to you later about lights on the street down here. The first time I spoke with you, I showed you, we paid for the poles going down the street in the fiber optic bill. I had to pay for that in my phone contract. There's poles on the street. I pointed to the electric behind Walmart there and said, if you'll get the electric strung, I'll buy the lights. And your response to me was, you gotta have sidewalks here too. You guys may want sidewalks. I don't need sidewalks. I need lights. I've been asking kindly for 3 years for a directional sign and lights on the street. And the reason I brought up the point, I am not bragging, we're generating somewhere very close to $70,000 a year direct payment to city government. And I see we spent $400,000 or $500,000 on a piece of property that was only generating maybe $200-300 tax to the city. And I will tell you, before it generates that much, I've done the math, and I know what motels and restaurants will do, and I think if you fill that up, it still won't generate what we generate. We're already there. We're already paying taxes, and I'm running out of patience. I've asked Jack. I actually told Jack that I wanted to see something happen, or I'm going to get him an attorney. And I believe we've been it's 3.5 years. I'll be 60 years old. We've been in that location 3.5 years, and by my figure, we paid the city $250,000 taxes. I'm not asking for you to put in a ramp out here for us off the interstate. I'm not asking for a special artery. I asked for permission at my cost for a directional sign, and I asked that we light the street, like almost everybody else in business in the city. When you mentioned Blackburn Lane, I see one business on Blackburn Lane that doesn't have a street light, one group, and that's the LaRosa's building. That's the LaRosa's building. You drive down at night. Ken, you ever go down there at night? You ever go down there in a dark night? Pretty scary looking, isn't it? I mean, we're lit up on the hill, I get it. And then when you bring me a bid to come all the way down Ferguson. from 22 for $30,000. I don't need lights up there. Walmart's not asking. If you guys want to do it, fine. But I don't see why that should stop up getting lights on Ferguson. I really don't. And that's about all I had to say. Thanks. I appreciate the time.
Buck, I'll address the light thing, and you're well aware of this. Buck, let me finish. All right? The only issue I have with the things you said about the lights was it creates the impression that we ignored it. We filed suit against Cahill and all those developers. I can say for certain nobody on this council wanted to do that. They did that because of the issues and concerns that you've raised, okay? We're in the middle of that litigation. As a matter of fact, there's some motions before Judge Knight right now that we may have some clear indication of what she's going to do about that. So you may not agree with our approach. You may be frustrated that it's taken 3 years, and you may have a right to be that way, feel that way. But I want to make it clear to everybody, that wasn't ignored, and we sued them because they did not follow through and do what they were supposed to do. The counter argument, well, I'll look at it when I'm done speaking. The counter argument that they've got is, well, the prior administration, the prior planning and zoning, whoever all, let it slide by without enforcing it. And that's the issue. It's kind of an interesting issue because there's cases out there that break both ways. If you fail to enforce it, you waive your right to enforce it. I've got some cases that says, no, one person's failure to follow through and act appropriately and do what they're supposed to do does not waive a successive administration, council, commission, whatever the case may be. It doesn't waive or stop them from enforcing it. The city is trying to enforce it, okay, both to the sidewalks and to the street lights, and there was another issue I related to you. So I just want to make sure we're clear about what we have done, okay? And again, you may not feel like it was enough, and all this has been explained to Jack, and I'm sure Jack's explained it to you. And I didn't know until we got into this litigation ways that you actually paid for what the post, poles, whatever it is that you put up out there. So
that's $50,000 from gas line, which the city is currently benefiting from. And when I put that gas line in, I didn't get to put in the gas line that I needed. I had to put in the gas line big enough to accommodate all the property out there.
Okay.
I
don't know whose requirement that is, but
I go back to the developer on that. Though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same as
That's not the developer, that's Duke. That's the only place I can get the gas from.
Okay.
And I appreciate you guys saying that, but we're here paying taxes now. And you know, now look, I appreciate you saying that because you're the city's attorney and you guys say that. But you putting those lights up wouldn't have anything to do with your suit against Macri if you believe you got a suit.
Yes, it would actually. I'd like to speak. It would. We talked about that in length. If we turn around and put the lights in, even though we have that law, we might as well drop the lawsuit because their attorney will then turn around and say, well, you must know that you're in the wrong, otherwise you wouldn't put the lights up. We have discussed this over and over, and when your concerns are far from being ignored. But until this lawsuit is settled, we are literally stuck.
We'll see.
And Buck, for what it's worth, and you can talk to Jack about this, there's some dispositive motions that have been filed, responded to again, that's now under submission to Judge Knight. The one good thing about this, there's some factual questions, but it's primarily a legal question. So, as we said here, there's a good chance that this is not going to go on indefinitely. I mean, Judge Knight hopefully will make a ruling on these issues in the next month or two, and then we'll know where we stand.
How long have we been?
We filed it. I have to look to see when we filed it, Buck. I don't remember. We've done some discovery. We haven't done depositions. We filed it sometime last year. I remember, it's not that good. We tried to work it out. We made, without getting into stuff I shouldn't be saying, we made some very generous proposals to resolve all three issues. There was also an issue with some unpaid inspection fees, like obviously it's going to do with you. So we had three issues. We met a couple of times with them privately, and then when they hired Steve Howe, we met with them again privately. And we had one time they we'll try to fix this. And for us, it's one thing. We got three things we got to fix. Okay? Only one really impacts you, but there's three we got to deal with. They totally blew us off, in my opinion, in terms of Jimmy was more than generous, I thought, with what he was suggesting as a resolution. So, at some point, and Jack is contacting me throughout this and said, you got to do something, you got to do something, you got to do something. Well, like I said, nobody here wanted to sue those guys. Well, here we are. So we're not ignoring you. It might feel like it. But we're not. It does, I know.
You got that right.
Yeah, I know you feel that way.
3.5 years. It's been 3.5 years.
And Buck, maybe we tried too long to work this out with them, thinking at some point we could reach a resolution and get all this done without having to, we should have sued them sooner.
Buck, do you have anything else?
No, that's all I have.
Anybody else have anything? No? All right, do I have a second? Second by Ron, all in favor? All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.